Last Monday night, we started our show by telling our listeners what to expect in life based on your birth date. You see, wisdom unveiled on the upper deck is a university of higher knowledge, something that is needed if we are to advance morally, mentally, spiritually, universally. Anyway, the theme for tonight is Sankofa. What exactly is Sankofa? Sankofa is an African Alkebulan word which means to regroup and to regain that which was rudely and disrespectfully snatched from us through the ungodly, unfortunate industrialist expansion of capitalism, which is the subtle continuation of 400 years of African enslavement, the greatest human suffrage of all time. When we, the Africans, were stolen, plundered, raped, murdered, without any intervention from any God whatsoever. We were on our own, paying the greatest price ever with our blood, sweat, and tears. We knew what tribes we were from, but were denied our own heritage until we forgot ourselves completely. Today we have no idea who we are, and we seem quite happy in our ignorance, in our unknowing. But it doesn't have to be this way. The question is, what is a tribe? A tribe is a vast, extended family tree encoded with its own rules of engagement, its own spiritual ideology, its own medicinal understanding, its own collective intelligence. How were tribes created originally? A student asked me one day. Let me give you an example. Let's take a look at the Mandingo tribe. It is Africa's biggest tribe, found in more than 7 African countries. Who was the first Mandingo? Mandingo was a great king who had hundreds of wives. A very wealthy man with great intelligence and a noble, kingly character. He was an extraordinarily bold warrior who defeated the Arabs and the Europeans until they paid homage to him and his hundreds of sons and daughters who were all great warriors in their own right. Through his sons especially, he would have ruled and influenced vast territories where people looked a lot like him, bearing his own blood and name. The same must be said of the Yoruba, Ashanti, Zulu, etc. Now today in the 21st century, David still have the power and the will and the blessing to defeat Goliath. And always will, as long as we retain the will to do just that. But sadly enough, the majority of Africans here in the Western Hemisphere are lost. But there is an Alkebulan compass. The word Alkebulan is the original name for Africa. The name Africa was given to Alkebulan by a European man. But that's not the name that we call ourselves. The name of our continent is Alkebulan. Let me make it clear. As we said before, there's an Alkebulan compass, a genuine way to regroup tribally. Remember that in medical, pharmaceutical terms, a generic drug would cost much less than the original drug made from different compounds, but it would work, sometimes just as well. Therefore, even though we don't know our original tribal heritage, we can regroup in a generic way through the auspices of astrology, the world's highest science in self-knowledge. African astrology can help us to this end. 12 tribes from which we were stolen have been identified. And suddenly, Sankofa, the Great Awakening, becomes the obvious reality. Indeed, if we are free to eat junk foods, wear ridiculous European clothing, free to be sexually decadent, to be culturally ungodly, free to consume bad-smelling, horrible-tasting alcohol and tobacco products, free to destroy each other with a teaching that we could always be forgiven with no repercussion, ever, then we may as well be free to embrace our tribal heritage once again and recognize ourselves as the great nobility we have always been. And so the big question tonight is, what tribe are you from? For once in your life, the opportunity has come for you to answer that question and smile. For this, my friend, is wisdom unveiling on the upper deck. It's now 12 minutes after 12 o'clock in Jamaica. 12 minutes after midnight. Now, before we go to any phone calls, let me tell you quickly what your tribe is. If you were born under the sign of Aries, you are Mandingo. If you were born under the sign of Taurus, if you were born under the tribe of Aries, you are Ashanti. Sorry. If you're born under the sign of Taurus, you are Mandingo. If you're born under the sign of Gemini, you are Yoruba. If you're born under the sign of Cancer, you are Fulani. If you're born under the sign of Leo, you are Judah. If you're born under the sign of Virgo, you are Igbo. If you're born under the sign of Libra, you are Wolof. If you're born under the sign of Scorpio, you are Maasai. If you're born under the sign of Sagittarius, you are Kikuyu. If you're born under the sign of Capricorn, you are Bole. If you're born under the sign of Aquarius, you are Shona. And if you're born under the sign of Pisces, you are Zulu.